The most cancelled man on the internet is back, and this time he's taking direct aim at Trump and his administration.
And it's these idiots like Pete Hegseth, like Kristi Noem, like Kash Patel. These people are fucking idiots. These people are knuckleheads. Yes, they're ideologically aligned with the Trump administration, but what good does that do if they can't even do the basic duties that these departments are supposed to carry out? Forget about changing anything. Forget about reorienting it in a direction that is more right-wing. How about just doing your damn job?
Today, we're counting down the top 5 takedowns of Nick versus Trump and his admin. Let's get right into it. At number 5, we have Elon Musk and Doge.
Elon Musk was brought into this administration. Elon Musk brought in Doge in the beginning of the year. They cut no waste, fraud, or abuse. They didn't cut any spending. But you know what they did do? Elon Musk made all the hiring decisions in the Pentagon. Elon Musk and the Silicon Valley people, they made all the decisions about hiring and firing in the Department of War. Why does that matter? Because the Department of War is going to determine who gets the military contracts when the military embraces AI. They didn't do a lot of cutting, but you know what they did bring in? They brought in Palantir. How are we going to cut the waste, fraud, and abuse? We have to take all the data from the Social Security Administration, from the Treasury Department, from the Education Department. We have to plug it into our AI software so that we can evaluate where the waste, fraud, and abuse is. Well, they didn't cut $2 trillion or even $1 trillion in spending as promised, but you know what they did do? They got 4 more departments and agencies onto Palantir software.
At number 4, Pam Bondi and the Epstein files.
The GOP and the Trump administration and Pam Bondi and Kash Patel, they gave a giant middle finger to the base. The base said, we want the files. And they said, oh, well, here's some things that we already released in a gimmicky binder with your favorite influencers on Twitter. And they thought that, I don't know, no one was going to read them. They thought that people would see Epstein files on the binder and will go, oh, good enough for me. I guess they were released. That was a trick. They lied. They tried to deceive us so that they can move on and never bring it up again. But people were hip, and people said, no, these are not the files. So then Pam Bondi and Kash Patel come out and they say, well, we'll release some very soon. They're on my desk. We're going to release them soon. So then they postponed it. That was a lie. And they thought that maybe people would forget about it. So first they tried to trick us. Then they tried to get us to forget about it. They thought we would just maybe stop caring about it. In July, famously, the DOJ pushes the memo that says that there are no files.
I said, I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file, along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that.
So again, they lied, they tried to trick us, then they tried to postpone it. Then they lied and said the files don't exist. And people said, are you serious? Of course they exist. First of all, you promised to release them. Second of all, you pretended to release them. Third of all, you said they were on your desk. Now they don't exist. So that's a lie. And very quickly, the narrative surrounding the files collapsed.
Number 3, Kash Patel. In this clip, Nick starts by telling us what happened when Kash Patel landed in Utah to oversee the investigation into the shooting death of Charlie Kirk.
Kash Patel, he wouldn't leave the plane until a woman lent him the FBI windbreaker jacket. He's eating at a restaurant when Charlie Kirk is dead. They've got a school shooter on the loose. He's doing a podcast with his girlfriend and Stephen Miller's wife. They got the FBI kicking the snow around. What are you looking for? What exactly are you looking for? Kicking the snow around. That's your systematic effort? Have you ever heard of such a thing? This is the second time it's happened. Charlie Kirk got shot, and if the killer didn't turn himself in, we probably never would have caught him. Think about that. That was 3 months ago. Charlie Kirk got shot. The FBI had a person of interest, a suspect in custody 3 different times over days before finally the actual shooter just turned himself in over a guilty conscience or something. Literally. They said, we got him. Oh, wait, no, we don't. We got him. We don't have him. This time we have him. No, we don't. And then finally the killer said, I feel terrible. I did it. And then we picked him up. That was in September. December, school shooting at an Ivy League university. He's gone. He's just gone. Have you ever heard of such a thing? I don't know that I can even recall another shooting where the suspect just got away like that twice. And it has happened twice in 3 months. That's your FBI.
In less than 36 hours, 33 to be precise, thanks to the full weight of the federal government and leading out with the partners here in the state of Utah and Governor Cox, the suspect was apprehended in a historic time period. Lastly, to my friend Charlie Kirk, rest now, brother. We have the watch, and I'll see you in Valhalla.
I saw that FBI clip. It's just like, you have to laugh. It's so infuriating. I'm watching these videos. It's led by Kash Patel. See you in Valhalla, brother. Why was he not fired on the spot after that? Why does he still have a job? It was supposed to be Matt Gaetz. Could you imagine? Somehow we got something worse. Kash Patel. See you in Valhalla, brother. Should have been fired on the spot, even just for that. Should have been fired after they botched the investigation into Charlie Kirk's killing. And now what is this? He's got to go. We need somebody different there. This is ridiculous.
Number 2, Donald Trump.
And this is why everyone hates Trump now. This is why everyone hates Trump. Everyone hates this administration. Because it is a scam. It's not even a failure. It's not even an honest failure. It is a scam. We are not getting anything that we have been promised. Think about it. We were promised industrial policy, tariffs, subsidies. They backed down in 1 week. Remember Liberation Day, April 2nd, we're going to liberate ourselves from free trade. We're going to have tariffs on every country. They caved in 1 week and then said, oh, the whole time it was really just about China. Remember that? Another fake out. They said, we're declaring tariffs on every country in the world. And then when the bond market melted down, they said, never mind. It was really just a big trick. And what we always intended to do was to only have tariffs on China and nobody else. Trump always chickens out. Then he said, we're going to deploy the National Guard to Chicago and LA and Memphis and every major city, and we're going to bring law and order to the streets. Then they said, oh, actually, we can't do that. And if we deploy 200 National Guard, that's what we meant. And we're only doing it for 60 days. And it never happened. Trump always chickens out. He said mass deportations. We're going to get all these people back. We're going to deport everybody, the violent criminals first, and then everybody else. 300,000 deportations for the year. He always chickens out. Every single thing is a catastrophe. And instead of just being honest about the state of things, instead of actually just recommitting to doing these things that were promised, we get excuses. They just fucking lie. The tariffs are not bringing in that much money. They're not solving the debt problem at all. They're not bringing back manufacturing. But Trump instead just lies and says, well, actually, we're bringing in so much money, we're going to get rid of income taxes and we're going to pay people money. Well, what happened to Doge cutting the deficit by $2 trillion? What happened to that? What happened to tariffs actually making money from every country? Then he says, well, we're going to cut a check to everybody. Oh, we don't have enough money for that. Now it's a check for the veterans. Now it's a check for the soldiers, and we'll call it a warrior dividend. Warrior. More of this cultural language. All these people in politics, Trump included, Kristi Noem, Corey Lewandowski, these people are all making money, effectively, allegedly selling titles, like doing corrupt things that powerful people do. They're all securing their retirement. It is a disgrace.
Number 1, J.D. Vance.
Here's the biggest play. In the end, where all of this is headed is J.D. Vance for president in 2028. That is the lead which they have buried. As quickly as they got J.D. Vance in the vice presidency nomination last year, they want to get him in the Oval Office in 2028. They want to make him the president. Why? Who knows? But there are powerful, powerful forces in Silicon Valley, billionaires, the GOP, all the king's men that want to make J.D. Vance the president. And I have identified myself very early on as an opponent of J.D. Vance. And for that, they want to bury me. For that, they want to kill me. Because I'm telling a lot of young men that Vance is going to need in the election, I'm telling a lot of young men, do not trust this guy because this guy is a creep. We don't know who he is. We don't know what his real name is. We don't know what his real job is. We don't know who he owes, who blackmailed him, who he works for. We just don't know anything about this guy. And it's weird. It's weird. He's weird. His family's weird. It's weird that they're all promoting him. Something is not right here. And that much is obvious. Everybody with eyes can see that something is off about that. And that's the biggest thing. And I believe it when I say this. that if I were going out on the show every night and saying, let's all be good team players and let's all vote for JD Vance in 28, they would tolerate me. Trust me when I tell you that if I were going out every day on the show and saying, let's all be good little Republicans and let's dutifully vote for JD Vance, you know they would tolerate me. They would tolerate my antics. They would tolerate my extremism. They would tolerate all of it. They would bring me in under their wing as a junior partner. They would pat me on the head. They would give me opportunities if I was willing to play ball, if I was willing to horse trade, if I was willing to say, vote for JD. Everybody, we got to be all in. But they are clearing the runway. They have created a media ecosystem using comedians, using podcasts, using conventions, using things like Turning Point. They have created a runway, and they have cleared the runway for Vance to be unopposed in 28, to raise $1 billion, and then to be the next president. JD Vance gave a line to the unheard. Speaking exclusively to Unheard at the vice president's residence on Friday, he doesn't mince his words. Let me be clear, he says. Anyone who attacks my wife, whether their name is Jen Psaki or Nick Fuentes, can eat shit. That's my official policy as vice president of the United States. Now, first of all, I have to say, I really appreciate the invitation. It's very gracious. I've said a lot of negative things about JD Vance. So for him to extend an invitation like that to me, to have dinner, a traditional Indian dinner with him and his family, it actually moved me. It actually touched me a little bit. I said, I've been nothing but antagonistic to this guy, really unprovoked. I started the beef. And so for him, in the spirit of the holiday, in the spirit of Christmas, for him to extend an invitation in public like that, to enjoy a traditional Indian dinner prepared by his wife with his family at the Naval Observatory, he's a better man than me.
We hope you've enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe for more upcoming vids.